Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I am trying to get my comments back up. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right, there we go. All right, so we had a little hiccup in the beginning. I don't know what was going on, but it's okay. We are here right now, and so I just want to say thank you once again. Thank you so much. I want to give the viewers a minute to get in here. I see a couple of you guys that's in here. Y'all say hi to us. Let us know that you are here. Click like, click share this video. Something is definitely that is going to bless you, bless your marriage. If you're not married, it'll be something said that you can take with you into your marriage. Little reminders, little tidbits, little information before saying I do. I'm sure something is going to be said today. So you guys come on, get on in here, not press, but click like, click share the video. And we are going to get started in a second with Miss Rysha. Our topic today is the vow. We're going to talk about the vows, but we're going to hover over that last line, till death do us part, which is something that we don't really talk about a lot, And so, again, I'm just so grateful that you said yes to this call. Like, I'm super grateful, so amped to have you on here. But to my viewers that were here on our last show, I want to say thank you for coming in. Last show, we talked to Mr. and Mrs. Durlis, and we talked about them getting married and then immediately starting their family. And so, of course, we wanted to know how that was for them. My takeaway from that really is so funny because it had nothing to do with what we actually talked about. But my takeaway from our last show was how obedient they were with what God told them to do versus what society would possibly say or probably say or think. And so I was grateful to host that one. But tonight, I'm even more excited for this one with Miss Rysha. Rysha, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Let them know who you are, what you do, how long you were married, how y'all met. Give us that information before we get started.
Hello, viewers. First of all, I would like to say thank you, Tam, for allowing me to be on this platform. It's such a blessing, and what you're doing is awesome. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. You're doing a great job. My name is Rysha Jones Graham. I was married for 11 years prior to my husband passing away. We had a 12-year-old son. That is the joy of my life. I met my husband actually at a club. I didn't want to go to a club because I wasn't a club girl, but my cousins coerced me into going the whole night. He watched me. He never asked me to dance. And then after the club, we bumped into each other and we hadn't stopped talking ever since that night. So it's been a pleasure. He's been a friend of mine for over 20 plus years. And like I said, married for 11 years.
Wow, married for 11 years. Married for 11 years. So, first of all, let me say my condolences. I want to give my condolences to you before we go any further. My heart bleeds for you. Like, I lost a husband, but I didn't lose a husband to death.
Right.
I lost a husband, and I was able to go back to him and apologize and talk about some things that we had encountered.
Right.
Got a better understanding. But I understand that with you, there is no, let me go back to him. Let's make this right. Let's fix this. Let me tell him, you know what? I was tripping. It wasn't worth it. And so my condolences go to you for that. You said that you were married for 11 years. But let me ask you a question before getting to the point of saying I do. Did you at any point think about those vows? Did you have premarital counseling? Did they talk about these vows while you were in counseling? We know I sent you that information about the vows that I have written in my book, Marriage Policies and Procedures, but out of the time that you were engaged, that you went to, if you went to premarital counseling, did you ever consider those vows?
I did not go to counseling. I am a church girl, but I did not go to counseling. It just seemed right, so we didn't go to counseling. As a little girl, we always played dramatic play, and we played the house and the getting married and this, that, and other. And as a preteen, you always get excited with your first boyfriend, and you get into young adulthood and you think, oh, I want to get married. I want to get married. Do you think about the vows? No. Did I think about the vows? No. So, no, I did not think about the vows before marriage.
And you know what? Many of us do not, right? We grow up with this fairy tale idea or thought of what marriage is.
Right.
And it's not until we're actually walking in this thing that we realize that, oh, that was just TV. Oh, that was just the book. Oh, I cannot be the real life Cinderella, right? There are some things that I am going to have to encounter in this marriage. So all of the fluff that we've been told, all of the things we've been shown as little girls, and sometimes even as adults, it's not necessarily true. Like there may be some truth to it, but there's also another side of this thing, right, called marriage. And so in my book, I know I break down, I talk to those that are married, and I talk to those who aren't married yet. And I want us all to understand the importance of considering the vow. If you have not said I do, but you somewhere down the line, you plan on saying I do, consider that it is something that is going to hold you accountable. It's statements that are going to hold you accountable. That is going and also serves as a reminder after you say I do, right? So once you've said I do, you need to go back to that thing. You need to revisit what you said I do to. You need to remember that, love got you to the altar, but staying committed to the commitment is what's going to keep you once you leave the altar. What is the commitment? What did I commit to, right? If I didn't go to premarital counseling, and that's no shade on nobody, but if I didn't go to premarital counseling, hello, but if you didn't go to premarital counseling and you are only going off of what society, or no, not even society, if you're only going off of what you've read in a book as a little girl, what you've seen, the pictures and the colors and all those things, if you are only going off of that, then your commitment is based on something that is not true. It's not genuine. It's not real. It's not something that you can build on, right? But when we are made aware of what these vows are, and not only made aware, but made aware and made encouraged to consider what the possibilities are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we do a lot better in marriage when we face these things. So I'm just gonna go down the line of these little these vows that we talk about, to have and to hold. Okay, in my book I say, okay, this is a pretty easy one because we all want to be had and held, right? We all want to be held. That's easy. Okay, next, right? We like check.
Right, check.
From this day forward, okay, you start getting a little skeptical, like, so how long is forward? Like, today is good, but like forever, ever? Like forever, ever, right? You start questioning that thing, right? And so if you're sitting in premarital counseling, that is something that the counselor should be bringing to your attention. Like, this is forever. Like, you're doing this with the thought of, for the rest of my life, this is the person I am going to go to sleep to and wake up to every morning for the rest of my life, for better or for worse, whether it's good or it's bad, right? What does worse look like? We don't know that. You don't get married and then here comes some documents that say this is what you should look for in worse in your marriage. On year 5, you're gonna see this. Year 7, and we hear it all the time. You get the 7-year itch. Come on, man. I rebuke that, because that's a false sense of, that's a setup. Because what happens is at the year 7, now you're looking for something. Now you're, you got your head on a swivel looking for that itch that you've been told is going to happen. That's not necessarily so. And then it says for richer or for poor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're all going this thing thinking, if the money is good, we good. But we're not going to say, but if the money is not good, we're good. It's very rare that you hear someone say that before they get married. Hence prenuptials, right? So we won't talk about the poor, but we talk about the rich. We talk about, this is what I'm coming in with. This is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming in with. And then we say, this is what I'm coming And so you either got to come in with what I'm coming in with financially, or we're going to sign something that says that if this does not work, which is a setup, right? If this does not work, then I get to go out with what I stepped in with. But we never talk about if we're doing amazing in every area of our marriage, and then at some point financially there's a major drop. We don't talk about how to respond to that, right? And then it says in sickness and in health, and many of us think that health, we're thinking healthy as in the body, but there's some sicknesses that I can't look at you and tell that you're sick, right? I can't tell that there's some perversion going on by just looking at you for the most part, right? And so we don't have those conversations when we are doing premarital, well, some of us, when we're doing premarital counseling, or if we don't do premarital counseling, it's not a thought in our head. And then it goes on to love and to cherish. You know, we got to love, we got to cherish those that God has given us, those that you're about to say I do to, and till death do us part. So all of that is wrapped into everything I just said, leads us to tonight's topic, the vow, till death do us part. And I want us to just hover over that thing right there, because that till death do us part speaks volumes. It says we are going to do all of what I just said until the end of time. Until I leave or until you leave. Like, it's team us, no matter what we go through. Whether we're sick, we're healthy, you know, whether there's money, there's no money, we got this together, right? But many of us, we take advantage of having that person right there, and we don't take advantage of what the vow has told us that we should be committing to. So I want to ask you, Rysha, if there was something that you, the widow, could say to you, the fiance, or you, the wife, if it was something you could say, what would you say to her?
To the wife? Rysha.
What would you say to the wife, and then what would you say to the widow? I mean, I'm sorry, to the fiance.
To the fiance. To the fiance, I would say, make sure this is what you want, because it is forever. Through the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the roller coasters. Some days you're going to be in love. Some days you're not going to like them. But make sure you're ready for that. As the wife, I would say to document your life story, because once it's gone, it's gone. Enjoy each other, respect each other. It's okay to agree and disagree, but respect their opinion, respect their value. I would also say never lose yourself, because once you get married, you get caught up in cleaning the house, the kids, working, this, that, and the other. Sometimes you lose yourself. So as the wife, I would say stay focused. Don't lose yourself. Have some me time. That's very important. Enhance your marriage. Make it spicy. Don't lose focus on the love, the dating, the goods. Be a good listener, because sometimes we don't listen to each other. Right. You hear it, but it's in one ear and out the other. Be a good listener.
Yeah.
Be patient and understanding. That's very important, because sometimes we don't have patience. They might say, good morning, what's good about it? It's good to them. So embrace it. You know.
Yeah.
Learn your spouse. Learn their likes and their dislikes, and build on that. As the married wife, there's going to be some ups and some downs, but you have to be there to endure it all.
I love it. I love it. What I hear you saying pretty much is appreciate the time that you have with your spouse while you have the time with your spouse, because there is no do-over once he or she is gone.
Exactly. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff. That's a good one. So let me ask you, in your relationships now, your friendships with your girlfriends that are married, do you find yourself not counseling them, but do you find yourself saying, when they come to you with certain things like, hey, it's not that serious.
Mhm.
Hey, be mindful. Like, do you find yourself in that position?
Yes, I do. And it's a couple of times where I have to be like, step back, listen to their side, to the husband side and the wife's side. Is it that serious? But once again, that's what comes in, respect their feelings and come to some compromise. You know, yeah, I do find myself saying it's not that serious, but it is serious to them. So you have to respect that
Right.
and learn how to compromise.
That's right. Compromise is a very important is compromising is very important in a marriage. Compromising is very important in any relationship. But I always talk about how parallel the marriage is, a husband and wife relationship is with Christ in the church. And so compromising is going to be at top of the list of how to be in a healthy, happy and whole relationship, or healthy, happy and whole marriage, because you are ridding self. You're not being selfish. You're being selfless. You are being a server. You are hearing not only with these ears, but you're hearing with your heart. And what I'm finding in my relationship today is that when I'm hearing with my heart, I am getting I am getting an understanding from God, not necessarily the man that I'm sitting across the table from, or that I'm on the phone with, but when I am hearing from my heart, I am hearing from God. Because what happens is we tend to look at what we see. We tend to respond to what we see and what we hear, and not necessarily what God has created and designed that being to be, that man to be, or that woman to be, right? When we put ourselves in the position or give ourselves permission to respond to who God actually created and not what you see, we will find a little bit more ease in whatever the conversation is, right? And like you said, sometimes it's not even worth responding to.
Right.
Sometimes we can just say, oh, okay, right, and go tell his daddy on him, or go tell her daddy on him, right? And daddy as in God, because he's the one that designed and created and manufactured. So who better to fix what you see, right, is broken? And guess what? Sometimes it's not him or her that's broken, it's you.
You. Yep.
So staying available to receive that from God, saying, yeah, but I know you're coming to me on the behalf of go get your son or go get your daughter, but there's some things I need to talk to you about. And then sometimes it is about the other person, but God says, but I don't need your help in that. I got it. I'm working on him or her in that area. And if I got to work on him and her in that area, and I got to work on you as well, it's too much. It's not too much for God, because nothing is too much for God. But we complicate things more than they need to be, right? Sometimes silence is the answer. And so if we haven't learned, or we can't learn when to speak and when not to speak, we'll find ourselves kind of like in this snowball effect. It'll just keep going and going and going over and over again, because we're just not getting it. One of the viewers, she said, talk about the poor. Please talk about it, because it happens. The poor. Rysha, have you, in your marriage, your 11 years of marriage, was there ever a point or ever a time in your marriage where you went through the richer or poor, where you had to face that part of the vow?
Yes. When my husband first got sick, he couldn't work. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But as long as you keep God first and your heart is pure about this marriage or relationship, it all works itself out.
Mm-hmm.
After he got sick, I didn't have to worry about anything. It was like things just lined up in a row. So for poor, I didn't have to deal with that. I thought about it. What am I going to do? But
Yeah,
it all worked out. It all worked out.
absolutely. I when I think about poor in the vow, I do think financial, right? Because of course we know that finances is one of those things that can make or break a marriage. We know that. But I also think about the character of the relationship, of the marriage. You can have a poor character, and that will be the demise of the relationship, of the marriage. And we have to be mindful of the character and the integrity that we are building and designing and creating for the marriage, right? And that is what will make the marriage rich. So here's the thing. We can have all the money in the world, but our character is horrible. And we're not happy, but we have all the money, right? But if our character is good, if our integrity is good, if our morals are good, if our foundation is good, we can have no money in the bank, but our marriage is rich. And so I want us to remember that even in poor, although we look at everything as a financial poor, also consider the other parts of what makes you rich, what makes that, when you're reading something, when I am listening to somebody preach or a minister, or I'm reading a book, or something that is feeding my spirit man, I tend to say, "Oh, that's rich." Right? I'm not talking about as rich as in financially rich. I'm just saying that's rich. That thing is cutting into me. It is making me think about some things about myself, because I'm reading it with the intent of receiving something. So if you're in the marriage with the intent of receiving something, not financial, but a richness that is going to please God, a richness that is going to be a walk that is going to show society or change the view of what society has said marriage is, you will begin to be rich in your marriage. And so I want, thank you, Tanya, for asking that question. I want you guys to understand that it's definitely not just about the money. You know, it's not about the money. But I do understand that money is the access. Money gives us access, right? So I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying, oh, money, money has no value. It has a lot of value. That's something that God has blessed us with, but it gives us access to a whole lot of things that we want to do, or a whole lot of things that we have to do. We have to pay mortgage. We have to pay bills. We have to take care of our kids. We have a car note. You know what I'm saying? And we have, when we are doing the righteous things with the our financial side, God is blessing us in other areas. When we are paying our tithes, God is blessed. That's us honoring God. That is us honoring God when we are doing all of the things that we're supposed to do with our money. You know, He says, everything that I give you, you are to be a good steward over, including your husband, your wife, your kids, your job, your clothes. I'm going all the way down to the smallest things. Your refrigerator. Like, so I think of the small things, like, Lord, I'm not going to abuse these things that you have given me, because guess what? There is someone out there that don't have it. They want it, but they don't have it. And so I was just talking to my daughter last night about how when God gives us a gift, when He gifts us with something, right, we have to appreciate it. And so, Rysha, appreciating, do you think that the appreciation that you have for your king when he was here, do you think it was enough?
That's deep. I would say yes, but I say now that he's gone, it's enhanced. Like, I feel I could have did some things different, but on the same token, I know I was a good wife. I know I was a good partner. I know I was a good listener, provider. I know I was good to him.
Right.
So as far as, I would say yeah.
That's good. And that's good that you're able to say that, and say that strong. There's no second guessing. You like, no, yeah, I was, But one thing that you said to me that stood out is that, but now it's enhanced. And it's only enhanced because now you're thinking about those small little hiccups that you did have. But here's the thing, even in the small hiccups, you still appreciated him. You still honored him. You still loved him. You still submitted to him. So it's not that you didn't do all of those things at the time, but it's enhanced now, of course. But I know that there's times where you think about, oh, God, I could have done that a little different. But there's got to be more times that you thought about the happy times, the happy moments, which is why, wouldn't you agree that it's so important for us to create those happy memories versus memories that we're going to regret?
Yes. And that's where it comes in, the widow Rysha. Being someone's first is great, but being their last is beyond perfect because you're their last. To me, I think about that all the time. I held my husband's hand until he took his last breath. And I didn't think I could do it, but I did. When I left out of there, I felt empowered. I felt great about it. Cherish every moment you have. When things are not right, make them right. Nothing's too hard to fix. Make it right. Create those memories between the both of you and hold on to them, because once they're gone, they're gone.
You know, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I didn't lose my husband to death. I lost my father to death, right? And so when you say you held his hand, you know, till the end, and you left out feeling empowered, I can relate to that. And my dad didn't pass away while I was holding his hand, but the night before he passed away, I was holding his hand, and we were, you know, I was talking to him, and there were some things I was sharing with him, and knowing all of that, like after he passed away, like you said, there was some empowerment that was there. But as a wife that was by his side while he was sick, while he took his last breath, right? The empowerment comes in knowing that you were what God designed you to be as a wife for your king, right? So God says that you are his helpmate. You were there holding his hand, helping him through that season, that time, that pain, knowing that he was about to cross over, right? I know that couldn't have been easy at all, but you did.
Right.
But you stood there, and God gave you power and strength enough to do that. When you first met your husband, not once did you think about the end of it. What you thought was, where is this going? Right? Now, where is this ending?
Right.
Right? So we ask ourselves sometimes we ask the wrong questions. Listen, we ask the questions of what we can see, and God is saying, I need you to see beyond that. He says, see what you cannot see, right? That's where wisdom comes in, right? Because if I'm looking over there, I am preparing to get there. Listen, I am preparing to get there. But if all I can see is what's right in front of me, I'm only preparing for this. I'm only preparing for 2 steps ahead, right? But God says, be proactive and not reactive. Hence, life insurance, right? We get life insurance because a little piece of us says, well, I got to prepare just in case, right? But do we get life insurance, and do we sit down and talk about the process of? Do we talk about, well, once we get there, okay, so this is what I want. When I pass away, if I pass away first, this is what I want. Let me write my own obituary. Do we talk about those things, or do we just say, because the right thing to do is to get this life insurance because I ain't got no money. So when you leave, I need to be able to bury you, right? Through rich and through poor, richer and poor. We're talking about that money thing again, right? We're not talking about death. We're really not talking about death when we are getting life insurance. We're not talking about death. We're talking about making sure that we are financially prepared to take care of the family moving forward, or so that I am able to bury you decently, right? Respectfully, once you do pass away. We're not talking about, but when you die, how is that really going to affect our living? Not financially. How am I going to move forward? What would you like to see? Like, what is your wish in this thing, right? What would you like to have done at your funeral?
It's funny you say that, because my husband was always the life of the party. And we talked about these things. He told me what he wanted. Just years before he had got sick, we talked about this type of stuff. He talked about where he wanted his son to go to school. He talked about where he wanted him to. We talked about a lot of things. So leading up to this, I was coming back one day and I was laughing. I was like, dang, our son's gonna get old and we're gonna grow old together. Then he got sick. One day he was in the hospital. I was at home. I was like, Lord, please hurry up and heal him and send him home because I'm at home bored and I'm going crazy. Not knowing the Lord was preparing me already. He wasn't going to come home.
Mm.
So those are things we talked about. I felt like I did what he asked. Maybe not one thing. He didn't want his friends to come to the hospital, but I needed them. So they were there. They were my circle. They lifted me and my kid. Now that's one thing he didn't want, but we needed it at the time. So I felt like I held up to his standards of what he wanted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's good to hear. That's good to hear. This just really what you're doing, Rysha, is giving us hope for those of us, those of you who are married, who aren't married, who plan to be married. She's laying out a foundation. She is showing us that it can be done. But see, many times we see the opposite of, and there is no hope, there is no example, and you're showing us that it can be done, but you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to know you have to know where to start, right? And the only way that you will know that is by communicating. Not only communicating, but effectively communicating, right? I always talk about some things that may work for you as a single person is not going to work for you as a married person. That's not going to work, right? And some things that worked for your parents may not work for you in your current relationship or your current marriage. And so give yourself permission to tear all of those things down, or better yet, to dig all those things out, right? And plant a new seed so that that thing can begin to grow. And you're going to be learning in that process. Even with that new seed being planted, you're still going to be learning, right? Like, okay, yeah, no, that doesn't work for us. And that's fine because you're learning together. But it's not okay when you say, well, my mom used to do this, so this is how I'm doing it. Like, take it or leave it, right? You're setting yourself up for failure. And so you're going to get to the death that I experienced, divorce, before you could even fix something, right? So there's another side of this thing, you know. And I talked about the financial, the richer or poor, and I said it's not even necessarily about the finances. So now I'm gonna shift over into Till Death Do Us Part, not talking about a physical death. I'm talking about the death of your marriage, right? We can be dead in our marriage.
That's true.
We can be walking dead in our marriage because we have refused to pour life into it. And so what does pouring life look like in a marriage? Pouring life looks like doing the vows that you have committed to, right? No matter what it looks like or what it feels like, be committed to being committed to what you said I do to, right? Do you really mean what you said? So consider all of those things before even stepping into. Consider what you desire, request, expect from your spouse before you step into that, because now you have told God yes, right? And so once you tell God yes, God is expecting you to operate in that thing according to how he designed it. And you know, our ways are not his ways, and our thoughts are not his thoughts. And so we're sitting back like, okay, God, I signed up for this. And he's like, well, actually, you did. He says, remember when you said through rich or poor? He was like, yeah, he broke, but you said I do. He says, remember you said through sickness and health? You said, I didn't, yeah, no, you said I do, right? I don't care that the sickness is in him in the hospital. The sickness could be him mentally. The sickness could be he has a pornography issue. That could be the sickness that you all are dealing with, right? And so we got to get out of the little box that society, the enemy, whoever you want to call, has placed us in. And remember that this box also has a top, right? I want you to stand up. I challenge you to stand up and just push the box top off and step out, right? One step at a time, one step at a time. I know that there's some things that you have been doing for years that's going to take some years for you to tear down. But as long as you are being intentional about it, you too can have life in your marriage. So although your husband is passed away, Rysha, you still have life. From everything you've said to me, there's still life in that relationship, in that marriage. He is not physically here with you, but the memories that you created, you designed, you built with him, they're still living.
Right.
How long has he been passed? How long ago did he pass away?
It's been a year and a half.
So you are a new widow. Let me ask you a question. Have you been to a wedding since then?
No, I have not.
Have you been invited to one?
No, I have not.
Okay. Are you open to going to one? Like, how do you think? Are you coping? Are you healed? Where are you at in that process?
I will be willing to go. I feel like the more I talk about it and share my experience, the more I heal.
Okay.
So talking about it is a healing experience for me. Seeing couples happy and laughing and joking, that's healing to me. And I think I shared that with you. I was watching your shows and I shared that with you. I was thanking you for allowing that to take place because it's healing to me.
Yeah, I love that. See, God put something different in all of us. So the way that I respond to, divorce, the way you respond to the death of your husband is going to be totally different for the next person, right? God has blessed us with so many different things. And how you are operating, how you are healed, how you're healing in the process is going to help someone else. Like even someone that's listening or viewing this right now is helping someone else. It may not even be the death of their husband. It could be in some other area, right? But what happens is many of us will not give ourselves permission to just flow with whatever God is saying. This is how I created you. This is how I designed you, right? Because we think I am supposed to break down. I shouldn't look like I'm happy. It's been too soon. I shouldn't start dating someone. It's been too soon. They're going to think I never loved my husband. You know what I'm saying? We get so caught up on what the people are going to say that we block our blessings.
Right. And that's good you say that because whether you're doing good or bad, somebody's always going to have something to say. But to me, because somebody did say to me, "Why I never see you crying?" You don't know what my pain or my struggle is because I'm not crying in front of you. Nobody's supposed to see you broke down all the time.
Right.
You have to be strong. You got a kid. You have to go to work. You have to make sure you're able to take care of your kid and the household. So I don't have time to break down. I have my moments.
Yeah.
It's not going to be every day.
Right.
It's going to be every week. And it's an emotional roller coaster. Right. It really is. But you think of the good times and it makes you laugh and you know what he would expect. You know what he would expect for you to do. He would expect for you to push through. He would expect for you to move forward. And those are things we talked about.
Right.
Just make sure my son is well taken care of. Find him a good stepdad. I'm like, what?
I love it.
Right. I love it. But those are things we talked about. So I'm okay.
I see. And I applaud you, but I really applaud God, right? Like I know that it is you, but I also understand it's because of God. So you're giving yourself permission to be obedient to what God has placed in you. He says your posture will say that I am a believer. Your posture will say, I got this. I have my moments, but your posture will say, I got this. And a year and a half later, that is exactly what your posture is saying. So I am like, hats off to you, girl. I don't know, of course, because I've never been in those shoes. I don't know how I would respond or react, right? But what I do know is what I can say is I think I would be, oh my God, I would be broke down. But you said that he said, find him a good stepfather. Do you know how powerful that is? What that says about the relationship, the marriage that you have, right? I'm not going to be here, but I still want you to be happy. I want my son to have a great example of what a man is, right? Don't go below your standards. bring someone in that is going to continue, right? He's going to continue kind of like where I left off at. Not that he's taking my place.
No,
He can't
exactly.
take my place, right? But he's going to step in and love you because you are an amazing wife and you deserve to be loved.
Right.
We have an amazing son and he deserves to be loved. And so he gave you that. And that to me, that is so big. We have Miss Vika Williams has a question. She said, what advice do you have for women who are raising young boys?
That's a good question because I struggle with that a little bit. Find myself giving my son, letting him have his way because he lost his father. And I know it's not okay. Like, I'm working on that. That's a work in progress. I can honestly, matter of fact, I just told my sister that today. It's a work in progress because it's hard. Him and his dad had a loving relationship, a loving relationship. So I can't give him that because that's the bond he had with his dad. So I'm working on that. I really am.
Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty and your transparency. We began to compromise in areas because it's kind of like I feel sorry for him or I feel sorry for her, and I can't bring that piece back that's missing, right? And so what I would say, Vika, she says, you know, what advice would you give in raising young boys? I don't have a son, so I can't really speak directly to that, but of course, you know, I can hover over that thing spiritually. And I say, you go to God and you ask him the question you are asking us. And you be available to his answer, right? Because many times we ask a question, but if it's really not the answer we want to hear, then we don't take it in. We don't take it in and run with it. We don't walk with it. We just hear it and it's like, oh, okay, right? You get him around a group of young men or men that are going to be great examples for him. And now I can speak to this because I have been around young men. I am in a church under leadership where my pastor speaks to the young men and to the older men about being the example. And so I know it's even with girls, I know that the example plays a big part in raising that child, right? So if you have him around people that aren't going in the direction that you want to see him or you would like to see him or you know he should be going in, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to go in the direction you would like to see him to go in. But if you place him around those like-minded people that can connect with him, so if he's 16, I'm not saying throw a 55, 60-year-old man with him to mentor him. He's got to be able to relate with him in order for him to open up, right? Because people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And so I can't come in browbeating a young lady like, you can't do this, no sex before marriage, no this. I can't come in like that. I have to come in giving her, helping her to feel comfortable to share with me that whatever that thing is, I'm 15 and I'm having sex, or I'm smoking weed, or I am, whatever that thing is, I ditch, or I talk back to my mom. I can't go in hard on her like that. I have to make her feel like I get it, I understand. And I have to get it and understand in order for me to hear from God so I can share with this young lady. And so that's what I would say, Vika, that's what I would say. Put him in a place where he is being surrounded by like-minded folks that you want to see him where you want to see him go. So, but yeah, this whole Till Death Do Us part, Rysha, I think you told me it had been 1.5 years, but now that I think about it, I'm like, did she tell me that? That's a short time. That's a short time. You're doing very, very good. I'm glad that, I'm glad that you said yes to this call. And as you said, this is a healing agent for you, right? Many of us don't know what it's going to take. Like, I don't know what I need to do to heal. It's like, I don't know. I'm just kind of here, right? And so what happens is we begin to cope. And healing and coping are two different things, right? So you'll be coping, and then once you begin to heal, you see things from a different lens. Mm-hmm. And that could possibly damage relationships that you're in, you know, the job that you have, the friends that you have, whatever. It could possibly damage it because now your view is a little different. And what I once was okay with, I'm okay with us going, you know, to the club every night. Just an example. I'm okay with us going to the club every night because I'm coping and I'm just trying to pass time, or I'm just, you know, so now that coping mechanism has now turned to healing. And as the healed wife or the healed widow, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not really with that, right? And so now the other group is saying, well, what's wrong with you? But there's nothing wrong with me. I just began to heal. Right? And if we're not able to admit that, then we're going to lose a lot of friendships. We're going to lose a lot of relationships, you know, because we sometimes just assume that you should understand where I'm at. You should understand where I'm coming from. Right. I just lost my husband. You should get it. But they don't get it because they've never lost the stuff. Have you found yourself having to have any of those types of conversations, or even just thinking about it, like, you know what, they don't get it. Let me stop tripping.
Tam, I am blessed with the circle of friends and family that I have.
I love it.
They embrace and they love on me. The birthdays, they're there. Whether it's mine or his, my son's, they're there.
Yeah.
Whether it's the anniversary, they're there.
Yeah.
So I haven't had time to be like, well, what?
Yeah.
My circle is awesome. My family, awesome. So I can't say anything different.
Yes. You like, that is my answer and that is it. I love it. I love it because, again, I'm going to go back to, you are a living testimony that says it can be done, right? Because we've heard so many of the opposite of this, that's become the norm. It's to be expected that people just get tired and they're like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it. It's too much, right? It's to be expected because that's the only thing that we're sharing. For some reason, we're not giving ourselves the okay or the approval or the permission to talk about the good stuff that actually came from a bad thing. Well, what society would say was a bad thing. And so you speaking today on, the loss of your husband and how y'all went through it and how you talked even while he was on his bed, his dying bed, and after he passed away, and the support that you've had, right? And the strength that you have. And yes, I have my weak days. And yes, I have those times where I struggle. However, my posture is my posture. Regardless to how I feel, my posture doesn't move. It doesn't change. So I could see you and I could see you having a moment. And for me, it's just a moment because you have shown me that the posture that you have, that's like in any relationship or marriage.
Right.
You're going to have some bad days. You're going to have some times where, I love you, but I don't really like you right now. I don't like you, but I do love you, right? You're going to have those days. But does that mean that you're in a bad, a horrible, unhappy, unhealthy marriage? No. It doesn't say that. So how dare people look at one incident or how you respond or react on one occasion and then define the entire situation by that? Mm-hmm. So Rysha, I want to say thank you so much for coming on to the show. This is a little different than what we usually do. Of course, we usually have, the husband and the wife. But of course, because we are this topic, of course you're here. I see the picture in the back, though. I see you representing. What was that picture from?
We took glamour shots. Okay. And at the top, I wrote, "My mind still talks to you. My heart still looks for you. My soul knows you're at peace. And I'm at peace as well."
What a way for us to end this show. Again, Rysha, I want to say thank you so much to all of our viewers. Thank you guys for coming on. Before this show started, I was in here praying that God gave me the words to say to you, that God gave you the words to say to our viewers, and that somebody that is listening and watching received something, and that something was revealed that pushed them to be healed, right? Because things can be revealed all day.
Right.
If you're not healing from what has been revealed, then it's just something that you know. It's just information, right? So I believe that God did his thing as he always do. That's my dude. As he always do. He came through today. Your strength, my God, I thank you once again. I am amazed at how well you are able to just hold it up, hold it down, and speak as well as you have. Erica said, Rysha, you are amazing. MJ says, thank you, Rye. MJ Jones says, thank you, Rye. Audra, she says, great show, thanks. Sandra says she loved it. Nixie McGuire gave us some purple hearts. Tiana, hey, Key, said, hey. So thank you to everyone that joined. Oh, Eric, my guy, he says, we never imagined having to deal with the major trials and tribulations that come along with the promise. Intentionality will make those unfortunate marital dilemmas a little less traumatizing. I definitely agree. Yeah, we have to be intentional about everything that we do. Be
Right.
intentional about the love. Be intentional about the way that we argue. Be intentional about those heated what I call them, heated conversations. The heated, yeah. Be intentional even about those things. Right. Check yourself. Look in the mirror and not the window. Look in the mirror at yourself and not out the window at your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I thank you. I thank you. Is there anything that you want to say before we close out?
I just want to say thanks, Tam, and once again, keep doing the Lord's will, and you're awesome.
Amen. So are you. I love you, sis. Thank you guys, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.